Thank you for choosing to watch this channel. Basically, if you've not seen it before, I am in the north of England in Yorkshire, and I grow what most people would say are exotic plants. So lots of big architectural plants, very unusual plants, and those are quite tender as well. And I do videos every week, post them every Sunday, basically what I've been doing in the garden that week, and basically showing the range of plants that could be grown and survival strategies that I employ to get them through the winters, and then in summer to sit back and actually see all the beautiful hard work paying off. So if you like this channel, please subscribe below, and hope you carry on watching each week. Hello and welcome to Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly. Believe it or not, these Sophinia petunias have been flowering since last summer. They were so floriferous last summer, from July right through to the first frost, and then they flowered on and off up until January. Now again in April they're flowering once more. Now it is a pretty weedy plant, this. It's got some weeds in the pot as well. But I've taken some cuttings of this and hopefully they'll root and I'll have some nice petunias to plant back in these pots with some fresh compost in a few weeks' time. So here in this black pot we have a couple of carnivorous plants. In the middle we have the trumpet flowers, trumpet pitchers or sarracenias. And these come from North America. And then tiny little plants around are the Venus flytraps. Now at this time of year, as we're into spring, we need to tidy up all the winter damage, so we'll remove all the really tatty pitchers or the large trumpets of the plant. So we'll just get some secateurs and cut those off right at the base. And we're just going to get the ones that are really damaged. There's some that are just a little bit of damage on the top we'll leave, but the ones that are gone brown we'll totally remove. And if we opened one of these, we'd find lots and lots of dead flies and beetles and bugs and all sorts. And new growth is already emerging so far in spring, so close to the centre we've got lots of new growth. And we've also got flowers as well, which are like red stalks with little red buds, and they'll open up into sort of a very alien-like, daisy-like flower. So that's the main Sarracenia pitcher plant in the middle. And like I mentioned, around the sides we have the Venus flytraps, and they go dormant, completely dormant over winter, so all the foliage pretty much dies back to little bud at ground level, and then in spring it'll emerge and all the new growth comes out, and by early summer it's completely back to green flytraps. And also in the pot we've got loads of seedlings of trees and ferns and things like that, and we just need to remove all the little seedlings because we don't want them to sort of outcompete the pitchers and to add nutrients to the ground as well, because the main thing about these pitcher plants and Venus flytraps is they get all their nutrients, or most of their nutrients, from the insects that they trap and digest. They don't want a rich soil, otherwise they'll die. And they don't want tap water. They need to be watered with rainwater collected from a water butt. And another plant that I don't mind growing in with these is the moss. So the moss has just got there on its own accord and got loads of little mosses growing and covering the soil. I should mention that the soil on these is a mixture of peat and perlite. The perlite looks a bit, well, it stands out a bit, but the moss quickly covers over the surface of the soil, so it makes a nice decorative feature at the top of the soil. Now, obviously using peat is contentious. You don't really want to use peat because it's extracting it from peat bogs, which are a limited resource. And so moving forward, when I repot these, after I've used my last bag of peat, which I bought last year, I'll then move on to using a peat-free option. There are peat-free options, and some people have had good success using those. So I will try the peat-free option next time when I repot and divide the trumpet flowers and pitcher plants, and that'll be coming up in a video later on this year. I'm down by the pond area, which is in full sun at the moment, and I'm working on this sort of bed that goes down into the pond. It's on a bit of a banking, and it's basically all the soil that I dug out from the pond. I built up this bank here, so it's proper heavy topsoil, Yorkshire topsoil, but there's no heavy clay underneath it. It's all compacted topsoil for about a metre down now, and I've had trouble growing stuff on this area. I've got big plants. I've got the palm tree here, the Butea catarensis, and that's growing well on the banking, and I've got the phormiums in front. But any sort of smaller bedding plants, it's because there's not a load of compost in here, and because it's on a slope, even when you water it, obviously the water's going down the slope rather than going down quite often. So it's a hard area to get right. So what I'm going to do in this top area here is plant a lot of the Aloe striatulas, which will grow in pretty much any conditions. As long as I get some sun and there's some decent drainage, then they'll be fine. So this sloping area I think will do really well. But before I do that, I've got a few plants at the front of the bed that I want to tidy up. So down here we've got the Gunnera tinctoria, and this has been browned off by some frost we've had in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, the new growth is totally fine, that'll come through and replace this, but at the moment it looks a bit tatty, and all I'm going to do really with this is just sort of scrunch off the ends, just get the tatty bits off. Doesn't really need it, it just look a bit better really. I've still got some of the old leaves as well from last year that I will remove as well. And then over here we've got a nice ground fern, and all the new emerging croziers are coming out of the centre. And what I want to do is cut off all the old foliage. If I just go in and cut that right to the base, I should have done this a bit earlier really, so that I don't accidentally cut off the new leaves that are coming out. But once I've done this and tidied up this area, it'll look a lot fresher, ready for summer, and then I'll get planting. So I'm just going around the fern. If you just take off the dead leaves here, you can see the new emerging leaves or croziers in the centre here, like little furry little animals. So if we just get off all the old foliage around and clear up this area, we'll be left with all just the new foliage coming out. I've left the old foliage over winter because it provides a bit of interest and a bit of protection. But now, removing all these leaves will make the plant look a lot fresher, and in just a couple of days all this will unfurl, cover this area, make a fantastic specimen by the pond. And now I've completely cleaned up the fern, and you can see it looks far more presentable, and really tidied up this area by the pond just underneath the Fatsia polycarpa with the palmate leaves just above. Right, it is now time to plant in those Aloe striatulas. So this is the area I'm going to plant in. And what I've done is I've given this a good dig over, got rid of all the weeds from this area. But as you can see, the soil's, it's thick, heavy clay. It's pretty dry at the moment because we've not had rain for absolutely ages, but it's big condensed clumps like this. So I will carry on breaking it up. And I've got a bag of grit as well, a couple of bags of grit that I'm just going to put in this area, dig that over. Then the plants I'm going to use are these Aloe striatulas, and I've got absolutely loads of these that basically came from just a bed across here where the big jabea is. I've got a big clump of these striatulas underneath. They've been there for about 5 years now, and they are quite sprawling plants, as you can see. They grow up and up and up and sort of fall over as well, and they came too far over the path by the jabea palm, so I've been chopping bits off. This bit was chopped off last year. You can see it was chopped off at the bottom here. I just literally put it in a hole in the garden, and it's rooted like this. Big, well, not big, but quite fleshy, fluorescent yellow roots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant these all across this area, and I'm going to put them quite deep. So I'm going to, if it's a stem like on this one, I'm going to go to that sort of depth, 30 centimetres underground, so it'll root from lots of places, and also it'll make it establish quicker. And I won't have these big lolloping stems that are hard to support, so it'll be nice and firm in the ground. And then every year, sort of in May time, June time, these flower, and they've got really nice, like red hot poker style flowers. So this will cover this area, and it'll be pretty low maintenance as well. So I've dug over all the area behind me now, put lots of grit in, and now it's a lot more opened up with all extra grit. Put a few bags in this small area, and now it's time to get planting. As I've mentioned, I'm going to plant these quite deep on the most. I've got a mixture here of basically bits that I've just chopped off the plant recently, off the original plant. And I've also got some that have established a little bit better with bigger roots as well. So, and some of the complete cuttings from today as well. So I'm going to put these, dot these across this bed, either side of me, and it's basically a matter of picking a plant, digging a hole. So I'll start furthest towards the back. Just make a little back and forth movement with a spade, and then basically push that in as I lift the spade up, and backfill around and firm that in quite well. It wants to be not rocking at all. And that's one down. Got about 12 more to plant in this area. And there we are, all planted out. Got about a dozen or so of these Aloe striatulas. It is a bit of a block planting, and some people don't like that, but I think it'll look good when this establishes and grows really well, fills in the gaps, and flowers especially. I think it'll look a really stunning area of the garden, and a bit of a juxtaposition between here and the water and the gunnery behind. This area will need watering a little bit just to get established, and I do have one of these sprinklers here. It's part of the irrigation system that goes around the garden, and I can turn this on or off depending on whether or not this area needs watering. And I will put some more gravel just between the plants just to finish it off as well. But I'm really happy with how this has turned out, and I think, like I said, once it's established, it'll look even more impressive. And all this was free, so all these plants or cuttings came from one original plant. It didn't cost me a penny to cover this quite large area, which is about 3 metres by about 60 centimetres, and then a bit further going down the bank where I've planted a couple more as well. So that's the Aloe striatula bedded out. At the back of the garden, there's a big gap now. Here I had the Chiskea gigantea bamboo that over the last couple of years were flowering. And now I've noticed on the ground got lots and lots of bamboo seedlings, and they're popping up absolutely everywhere. There's literally thousands of them, all going through the bark chippings and the soil and the compost. And I'm going to have to clear lots of these away, but I am going to keep a few to grow on and one day plant out. Thanks for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening. Join next week where I'll be doing more in the garden.